throw. First down at the 49. 20 more yards for Marino, who's over the 400-yard mark. Joe Rose picks up a few more. That's just pocket change for Marino. Gets knocked down pretty hard himself by Sean Jones.
On every play of this drive, Marino has either been hit or pressured. Tremendous pressure generated by the Raider defensive line. They are just coming relentlessly on Marino.
Look at the numbers. 424 yards more for Marino.
Good.
He's going to break Dan Fouts' single season record, and no one thought they'd touch Fouts, who threw for almost over 4,700 yards a couple years ago.
Mike Davis being attended to by the doctors and trainers. Hard to tell what's wrong. We got word just a moment ago that Lyle Blackwood, we mentioned that he had a cramp in his leg. He will be probably out of the ball game. He's apparently cramped up again, a calf problem for him, something he's suffered with over the past week.
That's a break for the Dolphins in one sense, that Davis won't be on the field for a play, and also it stops the clock without the Dolphins having to spend a timeout. 4:30 left, and it will be 2nd and 6 from the Raider 46.
It also allows Coach Shula an opportunity to have some input as to what play will be called.
Next weekend, don't forget there's a Saturday game, Buffalo and the Jets, and then on Sunday, Seattle, Kansas City, the Chiefs in a spoiler role, Cincinnati back in the thick of things at New Orleans, Patriots still alive against Philadelphia, Miami at Indianapolis. We'll be out in Denver, Mile High Stadium, to see the Chargers and the Broncos, and Houston and the Rams. Rams trying to get a wild card spot. Marino. Duper took it right out of the hands of Mike Haynes. I thought Haynes was going to have his 3rd interception.
Well, we build it speed on speed. The two great wide receivers, the two great cornerbacks, and they have battled head to head all day. You see again, Hayes letting him go inside. That's an unusual thing. And Duper wanted to lateral that football. He wanted to toss it. Couldn't find anyone.
First down. Going for it all. There's Duper. And there's a flag down at the line of scrimmage.
Howie Long has put tremendous pressure on this Dolphin offensive line. A number of calls today have gone against the people trying to keep him away from Marino.
This one was a legal motion. Marino has set a personal record, most throws in a game. That won't last long, the way he likes to get it in the air. Let's go back to that point on Long, and as a defensive lineman, you can so well appreciate how one player that has the quality of Long can really change. Here's a disciplined team that doesn't create many penalties, the Dolphins, and they've had to go to that to stop him.
Well, even that penalty, which was a motion penalty, was on John Giesler, the man trying to block on Howie Long. And what he was trying to do was get back quick enough so that Long couldn't get around to the outside. So although it wasn't a holding penalty, it was definitely caused by his pressure on Marino.
1st and 15 for the Dolphins. 3:33 left. Almost intercepted by Otis McKinney, intended for Mark Clayton. McKinney has built so much. Another penalty flag down. He looks like he and Mike Haynes could trade wardrobes.
We've got a penalty call, I believe, against the Raiders.
Stops the clock with 3:28 left in the 4th quarter.
Lined up in the neutral zone.
Howie Long.
Well, not a perfect night.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
But 2 Raiders in this game have distinguished themselves. You know now why they are consistent Pro Bowlers and All Pros. Mike Haynes and Howie Long. And who's going to ever vote against Dan Marino as the top quarterback in the AFC? That's against the Dan Fouts and all the rest of the team. Here comes Martin. Almost intercepted by Piquel.
Smart call by Marino. He's had so much pressure. When you're getting that kind of pressure, a couple of things you can do. You can run the draw play, you can run the screen play. This is a little screen play trying to go up the middle. Piquel right in the middle of your screen, up in front of Nathan. If he had been able to wait, or if Nathan had been able to get that ball, I think he would have had excellent yardage. And Piquel, realizing a lineman's dream was waiting for him, an interception, a chance to run, pounding the ground.
Did anyone hear you when you pound the ground like that?
No.
Shower, some of the umbrellas in evidence, so light rain falling. 2nd and 10 for Marino from the Raider 34. He needs 2 touchdowns. almost a movement by Newman. Marino down the middle to Rose. Joe Rose to the 5-yard line. Another flag is down, however, and this could be against Miami. It appeared that Newman might have moved before the snap.
One of the things that someone moved, let's see, it also appeared to me that one of the wide receivers may have tried to get a little jump. Mike Haynes is putting so much pressure on the outside that the receiver's trying to get away, and Joe Rose, who got a bad shoulder, you see him
Backing up before
79
the snap.
again, and that's exactly what we talked about earlier. Giesler trying to get back to protect his quarterback. Howie Long putting so much pressure on him that he's trying to jump the count a little bit. They nail him again.
So instead of 1st and goal at the 5, another long Marino gain. It's 2nd down and 15, and here comes Jim Jensen. You've got to watch him, number 11. He's their all-purpose. He can play tight end, wide receiver. He's the 3rd-string quarterback, the top player on special teams, and sometimes they'll throw a little trick play out there when Jensen's in the lineup. Let's spot where he's located. He's on the tight end side, near side, number 11. You can see him. He's got the clean uniform. Kept him in the block. I don't think he had that in mind. Short gain to Carter to the 33, where it'll bring up 3rd down and 8 or 9. Howie Long again putting pressure on Marino.
Counting down to 3 minutes. Marino's got to explode here. Right now the Raiders playing the clock, Dick.
In a crowd to Moore, incomplete, and that'll bring up a 4th and everything. 4th and 8, because if Marino and the Dolphins can't make a 1st down here, it's all but over. 2:47 left, and that goal line stand at the end of the 1st half, where the Dolphins tried 3 times from the 1-yard line and then gambled running and ran themselves right out of the half, may well be one of the many important points that'll be chewed
Tom
up.
Flores on the left, Earl Leggett, the man on the right. He should be taking a bow. It's his defensive line that's made life so uncomfortable here in the 2nd half for Dan Marino. Tremendous pressure they've applied to him, Dick, and that's been the difference in this half. He has not had time to cut them apart. He's had to unload the ball before he's been ready to do it.
Lyle Alzado replaces Townsend. Oops, Long was offside, so this is a free play for Marino, and he gets the 1st down. Jim Jensen at the 20-yard line. Oh, how many times has this young Marino come up with a clutch play, 3rd and 4th down?
The quarterback that many are comparing Marino to is Joe Namath, and it's that quick release, that rifle release. You'll see it here. When Jensen opens up, you'll see Marino right there. That ball is in the air before the final cut. A rifle shot. Of course, the penalty is refused. Ball will be inside of the 20-yard line.
There's Jensen, who broke all of the great Harry Aganis' records at Boston University. He plays tight end, quarterback, wide receiver. He's a snapper, special teams, and also works pretty well on the guitar and harmonica. Anything else?
Probably cooks a pretty good omelet, too.
He's still in there. 2:41 left.
Blitz.
Davis on the blitz, but he gets it off to Nat Moore, and the veteran is to the 9-yard line. 1st and goal. The clock running. 2:31, 2:30 left. 10 more yards for Marino. He's working on a possible 500-yard day.
The ability to react instantly. The blitz was on. Mike Davis coming from the outside. Marino read it, fired that ball out instantly. The receiver knew what he had to do. They pick up the 1st down.
450 yards passing for Marino. Looking for a touchdown. He's got it to Duper. Touchdown passes for Marino, and Tom Flores says, will this game ever end?
You saw Marino burn Lester Hayes on the right side. He comes back in a similar situation, throws to a well-covered Mark Duper right over the top of 22 Mark Haynes. It's Haynes right there leaning back. He's all over the receiver. Can do nothing to stop it. A perfectly thrown ball and a great catch.
86 yards in 10 plays. Boy, Marino has put him on a 91-yard march, 83 yards, 86-yard marches for touchdowns in the 2nd half. Try for a point by Von Schaman. It was in this spot in the 1st half where he had one blocked, and that is a very important play in this game because Had it not been blocked, it would be a field goal game. A flag is down. Instead, the Dolphins have to get the ball back and score a touchdown, not a field goal.
One of the advantages. Well, let's let the official.
Line up in neutral zone. The point is good. 5 yards.
Watch 99 in the middle of your picture. Sean Jones gets that left hand up. And that now forces Miami to think touchdown, not field goal.
And let's think with Shula for a second here. Do you try the onside kick, or do you kick it deep and give your defense an opportunity to go after the Raider offense? There's Sean Jones on the sideline. He's been playing a great deal in the defensive line. Youngster out of Northeastern has really made a strong adjustment to the game. Had a lot to learn, but is coming on. They're very proud of him on the Raiders side of the field. I'm sure they're proud of him for what he's done tonight.
You know, if the Dolphins get the ball back and should get it back deep in their own end, the way Marino's going, believe it or not, that long time record of Norm Van Brocklin, most yardage passed in a single game, could be in jeopardy, but it would take the right circumstances. Don Shaman, will he kick it deep? The Raiders don't think so.
They're setting up for a possible onside. Loading up on the left side. There it is, the onside kick.
Casper bobbled it, but Otis McKinney appeared to fall on it for the Raiders.
The ball was free at one time. Let's see who came up with it. I'm sure they're fighting for it at the bottom of that stack. The Raiders come up with the ball.
Otis McKinney, after Dave Casper unable to pick it off, has it for the Raiders at the Los Angeles 43 with 2:03 remaining. So the Dolphins have the 2-minute timeout plus their own 3 left.
An excellent onside kick by Von Schaman. What you want that ball to do is take a nasty hop at the end, like a bad hop for a baseball player. There it is. Came right up. Casper got his hands on it, couldn't control it. The ball took a lucky hop right in there in the hands of McKinney, but it wasn't McKinney who came up with it finally. It looks, who is it? I can't tell who ended up with it, but I don't think it was McKinney who ended up with the ball.
The crowd trying to help Miami as they did earlier in this half. Frank Hawkins straight ahead, and there's the timeout at the 2-minute. 1:59 it comes. Just to quickly brush up the all-time NFL record. Marcus Allen wisely did not go out of bounds. You saw him, there was that moment he hesitated, said no, I'll stay in bounds, take the short gain, and the timeout called by Miami. They have 2 left, and that stops the clock with 1:52 remaining.
Don Shula, his coaches along the side.
By 4, 3rd down and 6. Will the Raiders throw a pass here to try to get the first down? Nope. Look at Allen. He might go all the way. Marcus Allen of the Raiders has scored again, his 3rd of the game. Oh, my.
And the pressure is off on the Raiders sideline. Tremendous reaction to Allen as he started to his left. That whole Miami defense, anticipating the run, started to their right. Allen registered that, made a quick cut back against the grain, and jumped one player, and he was gone. Tremendous vision. Watch him starting to the left here, now sees the defense overreacting and just uses his speed to break it away and take it to the end zone.
What a player. Marcus Allen, 156 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns to extend his NFL lead to 17 touchdowns this year.
Talk about great players making the big play in the big game.
And Barr adds the extra point. Would you have believed when we walked in the stadium today that the Miami Dolphins would give up 45 points to the Raiders?
Statistically, the Dolphins defense has not done well in many categories, but one of the categories they've been very strong in is points allowed.
They were right with Denver and
early
Chicago
in the year.
most of the year.
I think they ranked 5th coming into this ball game. They will not be there after this game. And there is Allen. Look at how the whole defense had overreacted to that play, which started out to their right. And Allen could see that and was able to use his speed to take advantage of it.
Certainly in the modern Don Shula era, 45 points would probably challenge a negative record for the Dolphins.
We have seen the only 2 defeats for this Dolphin team on the year, Dick, both of which have been high-scoring, explosive games in which the Dolphins have played exceedingly well, but have been outscored.
This is the team that's 5th in the entire league in least points allowed.
Bob Brzezinski, one of the men who overreacted, and you know, that's a tough thing. They just wanted to make the play on Marcus.
Well, don't wander away, because with Dan Marino about to come out, even though it's 45-34, Marino, who has already really rewritten the most touchdowns in a season mark with 4 more to give him 40 for the year, but he's going to have a chance the 80 yards of field to work on Norm Van Brockman's long-standing record of most yards passing in a game.
45 points. Oof. I'm sure Tom Flores, who has been concerned about his offense and their ability to score, extremely pleased by what they've done today. Another man who should take a bow on that far sideline, Bob Zeman, defensive coordinator for the Raiders. He's been calling the defenses, and I'm sure right now reminding all of his troops, stay deep, keep everything in front of you, make them work their way down the field. They'll give Marino yardage here. They'll try to keep him from taking the big one.
He starts with a triple right. Nat Moore, Mark Clayton, and Cefalo all to the right, and Van McElroy, yeah, he's already to the 50-yard line. Marino throws short and incomplete, and probably a wise drop by Carter. Not that he thought of doing that, because that would have kept the clock running, and they only had about 5 yards anyway.
Lester Hayes back about 25 yards. McElroy won't even go back to the huddle. The prevent is in there now.
2nd down and 10.
Dan Marino at the moment has 470 yards passing. Greg Pruitt and Marcus Allen. Pruitt, who was 2nd to Johnny Rodgers for the Heisman back in the early 70s. Marcus, who won it at USC. Well, we've seen some brilliant plays today. Greg Townsend, another one, as he sacks Marino at the 3-yard line. That's the 3rd sack of Marino, who had been sacked but 7 times all season long. So that was part of the Raider game plan. They had to pressure Marino, and they did.
They came into this game dedicated to getting pressure on the quarterback. Those top sackers, as you see them there, Martin, Long, Piquel, Townsend, Davis. That one by Townsend, number 93. We talked about Howie Long earlier in the game. Martin, I don't believe, had one today, but Piquel definitely a force in the pass rush.
Clock running, and the Dolphins taking their time. Now, that sack really put them in a 3rd and 27 hole. Knocked down, incomplete in the end zone. So 4th and 27 at your 3-yard line. 101 left. Not many play calls for that. So updating the playoff picture with 2 weekends to go, plus the Bears at San Diego tomorrow night. Miami has clinched the East. They'll go to 12-2. Denver loses today to Kansas City, so Seattle jumps in front of them for the AFC West, but Denver has already clinched a wild card, so they are in the playoffs. The Raiders, 10-4, will take a 2-game lead over New England and all but assure themselves a wild card berth. So it looks as if it'll be all West in the AFC. 2 Western teams in the wild card, and Roby will have to punt from deep in his own end zone.
They'll just let this one roll. They won't worry about it. Roby tries to line drive it, didn't get all of it. They'll just let that football lay there.
To the 43-yard line, where the Raiders will have the ball with 49 seconds. Let's go back to the end of the first half. The Raiders led at that time, and the Miami Dolphins had the ball at the 1-yard line and 3 chances, and this is the last with 9 seconds left. They don't go for the pass. They try to run it, and Pete Johnson
diving in, and you see the penetration from all the defensive linemen underneath, linebackers concentrating on the play, and Howie Long lets you know right there they did not make it in.
Now to New York.
All right, Dick, besides the game you and Merlin are describing from the Orange Bowl, there were 2 other late games today in the NFL. The first one saw Seattle with 5 touchdown passes from David Craig defeat Detroit 38-17. At one time, Detroit held a 17-14 lead. Seattle has now won 8 in a row, and as you mentioned earlier, they have the AFC West lead alone now at 12-2. The Rams pounded New Orleans 34-21 in the other game. Eric Dickerson had 148 yards. He needs 224 to pass O.J. Dick?
So